Hey, everybody, thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Tonight, I feel like we have such a timely episode. We are joined by the founder of Beverly Hills Precious Metals, Andrew Sorchini. Andrew, I'm so excited to have you on. We've talked about getting you on the show before, but I don't think the timing could be better now. You have been kind of in the financial world for a long time. I think you understand it far better than the average person, certainly better than I do. And I think at this point, what we've seen happen over the past week or so has honestly really frightened people. We're all pretty much aware at this point that Silicon Valley Bank has failed. The second largest bank to collapse in American history. Obviously, big news sort of over the weekend. And that was just followed by Signature Bank. There's a lot of talk about Credit Suisse. What is going on right now? Help the average American understand this situation.
Well, I believe we're in the early stages of another financial crisis. This is exactly what we saw happen 15 years ago. And last time started with Bear Stearns. This time it's started with Silicon Valley Bank. And even here in California, it seems like all the problems always begin here in California. And even driving in my own neighborhood, over the weekend on Saturday, I drove past First Republic Bank and I could see people lined up out there at like 10 a.m. just lining up to take their dollars out of the bank. And rightfully so. People should be concerned, especially if you have a significant amount to you that's in the bank. You want to feel like you're safe.
Yeah, and I think that for so many of us out there, we see this happen and I mean, you're like, "Oh, well, thank God that wasn't my bank." But what if it was your bank? And I think people are like, "Well, how does this happen in America? What do you do to protect yourself? What do the people who had money in these banks do? Sort of like what happens next in this whole scenario?" Because I think people are kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, so to speak. Like, will this have a chain reaction on other banks? How will it affect the average person, even if you didn't have money in those specific banks? But I think that's really a fear for people right now.
Absolutely. And it is for me personally as well. It's we saw this happen in 2008, where eventually Washington Mutual was the biggest bank to go under. They were actually saved by Chase Bank, but it's like that's the largest bank to go down. Like no bank is really immune from it. I hear that Wells Fargo's having trouble. On that same day, when Silicon Valley Bank was shut down, there was glitches at Citibank and Wells Fargo, where there was like phantom deposits or deposits missing, and it's really a time to be concerned. So to answer your question, I want to own assets that I can hold in my hand, or real assets like gold and silver, and that are outside of the centralized banking system. I mean, ultimately, we need money in the bank to be able to pay our bills, pay for things, but it's a scary time right now, and I feel like it's going to get worse.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you, do you think things will get worse? And look, I think for so many of us, you know, obviously we know who I wanted to win the 2020 election, my father-in-law, President Donald Trump. And that didn't happen. And you see how inflation has increased, how gas prices have gone up, how we have a war between Russia and Ukraine, how things feel very precarious overall on sort of the world stage, whether it's our southern border or with China. And then you have banks collapsing here in America. And people are kind of like, oh my gosh, like this feels like the beginning of something really, really frightening. And I'm glad you brought up gold and silver. Obviously, as the founder of Beverly Hills Precious Metals, this is something that you have had your hand in for a long time. You understand it so well. And I think I'm one of those people who I've watched ads and I've heard other people talk about, well, you should buy gold and silver. That's a good way to make sure that you keep the money that you earn, that it is not in some sort of a situation like we're seeing happen with the banking banks in so many respects. Tell people and maybe break it down for people, why gold and silver? How does that process even work? And why is it such a smart move for people to do?
Well, typically in times of inflation, when your dollar is buying less than what it bought at a previous time frame, like a year ago, typically gold and silver will go up, especially gold. So we're not really Like, our primary goal here isn't necessarily to make money by owning gold. It's to preserve what we already have. So gold is a true store of value, not Bitcoin. You hear people call Bitcoin a store of value. That's like gambling. It's like the wild, wild west.
This is why I never bought anything in the crypto. First of all, I don't understand it enough. But yeah, people I think want something they can hold in their hand. I need a dollar bill. I need some gold. I need something. But gold is obviously far different than Bitcoin.
Exactly. So to compare it to Bitcoin, I've seen Bitcoin jump from $20,000 for one Bitcoin to 26,000 just in the last 48 hours. Wow. And what that tells me isn't that Bitcoin is a great investment. It tells me that people want to get their funds out of the bank. And I think that there's just not enough regulation with Bitcoin. I think it's a very, very dangerous place to invest in. And I think a lot of the younger people that have a lot of time on their hands and they really understand it, I think they've figured out a way to own cryptocurrencies safely. But for just the regular people out there that are trying to invest or protect their retirement funds, I don't think that that's the way to go. I think it's gold and silver, and it's been gold for thousands of years. Like, literally, that's how people have been able to transfer wealth for thousands of years, through real estate and gold. So to me, those are the two best things to invest in right now. However, I do think that real estate will come crashing down. And I referenced back in 2008, the last financial crisis.
Yeah.
And that's the next step. And people should not be surprised when that happens.
Oh my God. I mean, it really is scary. And, not to become like a conspiracy theorist, but I think for several years now, I've kind of heard rumblings from people about like, what's the overall plan when it comes to moving America, into not just being our country by ourselves, but having just a free flow of people, no borders, a globalist society, which so many people, quite frankly, Andrew, on the left, want to see something like that happen. Well, look at the way that our freedom of speech has been impacted by these big tech social media companies being able to shut down your account in a heartbeat if they don't like what you have to say. There are a lot of people out there who look at these banks collapsing and they say, well, you know what? This is one step closer to what some people want to see happen, which is a centralized government-run banking system that they have the full ability at some point, whoever may be in charge, to turn off your funding, turn off your bank accounts. We saw something similar to this happen in Canada when people were supporting the truckers, the freedom truckers, or whatever they were calling themselves last year. People might remember, people didn't have a way to access their money. And I think you see banks failing like this and you say, well, how do we end up with this kind of centralized bank and a situation where that could ever be possible? Well, if all the banks fail and the government has to come in and kind of bail things out and they want to start their own thing, I mean, is that a conspiracy theory, or could we ever see something like that happen? And have you heard about this? Because I've heard it from several people.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's for me that's reality. It's already started. It's in a pilot program and has been for months. But I like how you refer to it as if we believe that, we're seen as conspiracy theorists.
Well, yeah.
And then 6 months later, we're not. So I remember in 2021, like, we know a lot of the same people and we have a lot of the same beliefs. So it's we've been talking about inflation for 2 years. When we first started talking about it, people would say, oh, well, these are the people that didn't vote for Biden. They're the conspiracy theorists. They're just sore losers, and it's not real. And even Biden came out on TV and said, there is no inflation. And it's less than a year later, he's issuing checks to people to offset the inflation. So we're conspiracy theorists until we're not. And it usually just takes a few months.
Yeah, we always say it on this show, the difference between the truth and a conspiracy theory is 6 months. And then it actually plays itself out. But I think this time right now in America feels very unstable to people. It feels very scary. So how would you advise people? I mean, people can't run out and take all of their money out of all the banks. But I know, for so many of us, we're like, oh my God, do I call someone? What do people do right now to make sure that they're protected? Is there anything you can do?
Absolutely. So here's what I would recommend to anybody out there listening. First of all, go to our website, which is bh-pm.com. There's an online form right on the homepage. Put in your name, put in your phone number, email address, put in promo code Trump, and then put in a couple sentences about yourself. So you can say things like, I've never invested in gold. Please explain to me how it works. Or I have a retirement account that I would like to convert into one that holds gold and silver. Can you help with this? And just anything that's on your mind, and we'll get with you usually in about 24 hours. But to answer your question, people should own some gold. Even if you don't believe in it, even if you hate the idea of owning physical gold, just get some at least, because you could find yourself in an emergency situation where maybe the internet is down, or the people in Syria and Turkey who just had that massive earthquake,
Right.
They would have to barter with anything that they could get their hands on. So if they had access to some gold, they could at least get some goods and services from people, because not everyone out there in that scenario is going to be a good Samaritan and just offer their help for free. So
Yeah, it's so true.
yeah, and to me, I just want to have it. It's portfolio insurance, and unlike other insurance, like with my auto insurance, if I don't crash my car in 2023, they don't give me back my premium in January of 2024. But with gold and silver, this is portfolio insurance, and if a disaster doesn't happen, and if you don't need it in an emergency, it's still there.
Right. Right.
So,
well, much like the friends of mine who have planted, I guess, what do they call it, a freedom garden or whatever it is, because they're sure that at some point everything's going to come crashing down and they're going to be like, I'm going to be eating good. I've got my cabbage and my carrots and my tomatoes, and I'm going over to their house, quite frankly, Andrew, because I'm going to need to make a salad of some variety. You've been in this business, though, for a long time, around 30 years.
Yeah.
What made you kind of get into this industry and focus so much on the gold and silver aspect?
Well, I started when I was 15 years old. It was my first job. I worked in a coin shop for 9 years.
Oh, wow.
And I just saw people come in. Yeah, I saw people walk into the shop and just buy like rolls of like 20 gold coins back when it was like $300, $400 an ounce. And I just remember asking the guy that owned the shop, like, why do all these people come in and buy all this gold and silver? What do they do with it? And he goes, well, some of them bury it in their backyard. Some of them throw it in a gun safe, and people just keep it for emergency. I go, really? So like, what type of emergencies? And he would say, well, it could be like a geopolitical event like a war. It could be a natural disaster, or it could be just a big financial crisis. And I go, really? These things can happen? And over time, I talked to enough people that came into the shop that I realized that this is real. These things do happen. But we live in the best country in the whole world. Even right now, we're still better than any country in the whole world. But
Amen.
We could make it great again for sure. And it's like people that are much older than us have experienced true hardship. People that lived through World War II, people that have lived through the Great Depression. And those are the last times here in America that there's really been a big disaster where people actually needed gold and silver to survive. So that's why so many people don't understand it. So many people just aren't aware. But other countries, like I'm sure Ukraine right now, understands the value of owning gold and silver. I'm sure that they're out there bartering with it. I think that Russia, when the sanctions hit them, they already had gold. So I know for a fact that Russia has quite a bit of gold, actually. And right now, China's beefing up their gold holdings, and they're getting most of it from here in the United States. So, and the big banks are doing it too. So something's brewing, and people need to protect themselves. And so the lessons I learned when I was 15 years old have come to fruition so many times since then. But we just want to help people become prepared.
Yeah, and honestly, to hear you talk about, World War II and the Great Depression, and I mean, you're right. We are so blessed in this country in so many ways, but I think, it is the generation who sort of is not as involved in day-to-day life anymore. People who are much older, who actually lived through the real hardships that you talked about, right? The Great Depression, obviously, so long ago, 100 almost years ago now, right? Very few of those people are still around. And I hate to think about it, Andrew, but I think about so often the fact that you have so many people who just want to dump on America, who try to teach our children in schools to hate this country instead of loving it. And I fear that we are going to have to go through some sort of a major hardship of one of those varieties, like you just talked about, to bring people back to the place where they say, wow, this is the greatest country on earth. Thank God we get to live here in America and we're not somewhere else, because think about how much worse whatever it is that might happen could have been. I'm afraid we may have to see that day again. I fear it's sooner rather than later. And I hate to say that because I have 2 young kids. As every parent does, I want to keep them safe. I want them to have a better life than I did, but I'm really scared. And I think a lot of people feel this way, that we may see a day down the line and in our lifetime that has to, we all have to endure it and go through it again, to bring people back in a way to realizing the greatness of this country and how lucky we truly all are to live here.
Amen. We need to get that pride back again. And go out there and just know that we're number one. I know it, but a lot of people out there definitely need to be woken up for sure.
I know. So, well, I hope we're not at that place, but it does feel very unstable to people. It feels a lot of people are concerned about what's going on. Obviously, we know you're paying attention. We're paying attention. And Andrew Sorchini, I want to say thank you for coming on The Right View today, for kind of explaining this situation to people and telling people, in essence, how they can protect themselves. Because I think for a lot of us, you feel a little helpless at a time like this, and you just say, gosh, I hope it's not my bank that I see something terrible happen to. And give people your website one more time.
Sure. Just go to bh-pm.com, fill out the online form. This is a no pressure deal. We're not a bunch of salespeople here that are going to tell you that you need to buy gold today or it's not going to be here tomorrow. Gold's been around thousands of years. It'll be here tomorrow, the day after, the month after, and a year after. But we can help you understand why you need it now.
Yeah, and if you put promo code Trump in, I think everyone knows how to spell that one, they'll treat you even better. Or probably Absolutely. Not. They'll treat you just the same. But I think you may get something extra whenever you log on there. So thank you, Andrew, for joining us today. To everybody at home, as always, be safe. Go check your money, but we'll see you back here next time for more of The Right View.
Thanks for having me.
At The Right View, we're very proud of the fact that we are independent. We get to say everything that we think and everything that we feel. We have no woke companies guiding us or telling us what we can and cannot say. We are always going to shoot you straight and give you the facts as we know them. And that's why it's important to support independent outlets like The Right View. My name is Lara Trump, and I think Mike Lindell is a patriot. He is someone who loves this country, is willing to fight for this country. I love MyPillow because not only are MyPillows made in the USA by American workers, but they're great products, and they're so great that not only do I use them in my own bed at night, my children actually requested. My daughter the other day went to the closet and pulled out a MyPillow and said, this is the pillow that I want to sleep with. And I gotta tell you, she loves it and will have nothing to do with any other pillow. So it's a big hit around our house. My dogs also happen to sleep on MyPillow dog beds. So all around the Trump household, we're big fans. If you go to mypillow.com today and use promo code Trump, again, promo code Trump, you will not only save money, but you will help us continue this show and other shows like it and help us continue the fight for the future of America. Inflation has impacted all of our lives. I don't think anyone can go to the gas pump or the grocery store without noticing that it is a major factor. And unfortunately, it's not going anywhere. It doesn't seem like it's going down in the way that we would like it to. And one way to protect your money is by investing in precious metals, gold and silver. That's always been a great way to make sure that you keep your money and you keep it safe. When you go to bh-pm.com, use promo code Trump. That way, if you decide you want to invest in gold and silver, you'll save yourself a little bit of money. We live in a time that's very interesting. A lot of us out there feel like a lot of our rights are slipping away. And if you're like I am and you want to have the right to choose whether or not to have a vaccine, how to live your life freely, and you're looking for a great doctor, I've heard amazing things about Dr. Sherwood. He's somebody who you should really check out and check into, and it'll help support this program and keep us going. So go to Sherwood.tv and use promo code Trump. Again, Sherwood.tv and use promo code Trump. You can save yourself some money and help us keep our program going.
Psst, ladies and gentlemen, this just in. We'll keep this a little secret between you and me and them and everybody. Whoa. The people that are actually at the tip of the spear, working directly with President Trump on a day-to-day basis to save this nation, they're all joining us on the Reawaken America tour. We have President Donald J. Trump's Chief of Staff, Kash Patel. We've got Peter Navarro's joined us on the tour. We have General Michael Flynn. We have Eric Trump. The people actually working at the tip of the spear with President Donald J. Trump to save America are joining us on the Reawaken America tour. Whoa. If word of this gets out, if the truth about election fraud, medical fraud, religious fraud, monetary fraud, and mainstream media gets out, it may just save the nation.
The Reawaken tour is coming to our place, hallelujah. It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit. Yeah, it's gonna be lit. Wide slam open.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, on May 12th and 13th, the Reawaken America Tour is coming to Miami, Florida, and to the beautiful Trump Doral Resort and Golf Course. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the Reawaken America Tour is coming to Miami, Florida on May 12th and 13th. Get your sunscreen ready because General Flynn, Mike Lindell, Amanda Grace, Julie Green, Pastor Dave Scarlett, Dr. Judy Mikovits, Kash Patel, and Team America are taking the Reawaken America Tour to Trump Doral on May 12th and 13th. And then we're taking the God-fearing, revival-starting Reawaken America Tour into Sin City. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are taking the God-fearing Reawaken America Tour to Las Vegas, Nevada on August 25th and 26th. General Flynn and Team America will be taking the Reawaken America Tour to Las Vegas, Nevada. And the Patriots will be staying together at Trump International Hotel, Las Vegas, located at 2000 Fashion Show Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, with zip code 89109 if you want to send them a letter. And yes, Alex Jones will be live and in person at the Reawaken America Tour, Las Vegas, Nevada. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, put it on your calendar. Get those tickets right now. August 25th and 26th. Eric Trump, Dr. Peter McCullough, Mel K, Dr. Stella Emanuel, Owen Schroyer, Alex Jones, Seth Holhouse, Pastor Mark Burns, Pastor Leon Benjamin. We're all taking the Reawaken America Tour to Las Vegas, Nevada, ladies and gentlemen. Las Vegas, Nevada. And that's going to be August 25th and 26th. Thus far on the Reawaken America Tour, we've featured Dr. Dave Martin, the late great Dr. Vladimir Zelenko, Charlie Kirk, Donna Clement Petruska, Sean Foyt, Karen Kingston, Chad Prather, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Dr. Alan Keyes, Mickey Willis, Roger Stone, Dr. Richard Bartlett, and hundreds of patriotic speakers that you know, including Del Bigtree, Thomas Renz, Sidney Powell, Jim Caviezel, Donald J. Trump Jr., Peter Navarro, Klaus Schwab, Yuval Noah Harari, Bill Gates, and the godless globalists have their annual meeting called the World Economic Forum at Davos. But we that reject the Great Reset have the Reawaken America Tour coming to Miami, Florida, and coming to Las Vegas, Nevada. Get those tickets at time2freeamerica.com. That's time2freeamerica.com. We have scholarship pricing to make these events affordable for everybody. Every Reawaken America Tour event has sold out, so request those tickets today at time2freeamerica.com. That's time2freeamerica.com. Or for faster service, you can send me a personal text to 918-851-0102. That's 918-851-0102. And to be bilingually sensitive, that's 918-851-0102.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by the you know the thing.
We will shut you down. We will cite you, and if we need to, we will arrest you and we will take you to jail. Period.
I wasn't thinking of the Bill of Rights when we did this.
But no amendment to the Constitution is absolute.
God actually spoke to me. He spoke about sacredness. He said to me, Kim, what I place in many, many people is sacred. And if anybody touches what is sacred to me, then it is the end for them. So what I've done in the United States of America is sacred. And there are people on every side that are trying to destroy what I deem sacred. And it's not going to happen.
This is the definition of criminal conspiracy, racketeering, and collusion. This is not a theory. This is evidence.
Because I have upheld this country to spread a light to the rest of the world. When you choose to go against the sacred thing that God puts into the very heart and the soil of this nation, this was sacred to God.
Now is the time to act.
This is exactly why I need some action from my people. Hello, everybody. It's an honor to be with you.